Okay.
It was obvious from the beginning we were a bit different. Right, okay, so 50% of marriages end in divorce, and we just got married. And we thought, well, everybody talks about divorce, but who's talking about marriages that last? So the idea was to travel from Alaska to Patagonia and talk to people along the way who've made marriage last. And there are a few of them.
So I'm Mike, and like a few of the guys here, I did the Marathon des Sables a couple of years ago, and when I got back, sorry, it's kind of a cliche now. When I got back, I proposed to Alanna actually at the airport because it was such a traumatic experience, and I decided that I wanted to do an adventure for our honeymoon. So I suggested that we go for the ultimate metaphor of marriage, the Pan American Highway.
So 120 couples, from Mennonites to Jehovah's Witnesses, from nudists to porn stars, from polygamists to Colombian presidential candidates. Didn't know that, but he's the front runner for the elections next week.
So another metaphor for marriage is the motorbike and sidecar. The motorbike, the symbol of male freedom, and the sidecar, the cumbersome appendage of a wife. This is the Ural Tourist T, which is a hell of a beast. It goes 70 miles an hour top speed downhill with a tailwind. Anyway, over to you.
So the first exploration was an exploration of our own relationship. Here we were at New York University getting our brain scanned for neurophysiological signs of love. We got our DNA tested to see whether we were genetically compatible, and we spent an entire day getting our relationship psychologically analysed, and the results were only to be opened at the end of the journey.
I needed quite a lot of help with the mechanics. This is Mickey here. I actually have his label on here. Mickey helped advise me as to how to make a motorbike work, which I didn't really learn after 2 night courses at the Hackney Community College. And he suggested I put a gun in the sidecar, and I declined.
Right, our first couple were down in Nikolaevsk, which is about 4 hours' drive south of Anchorage, a tiny, remote little community. In 1960, Russian old believers settled there. They wear traditional clothing, they talk in Russian, and they didn't get electricity for years. So it was our first lesson of extreme love in a cold climate.
This is Chicken, Alaska, the top of the world highway. There's nothing there apart from this town called Chicken, named because they couldn't spell ptarmigan. We got very cold. I underestimated the cold, so I had to sort of stuff newspaper and foam down the front of my jumpsuit here. It was village, to say the least.
So we hit Vancouver, that famous gay capital. We were there for gay pride, so we thought we'd look at homosexual relationships. We got everything from dykes on bikes, and you'll be glad you got spared that photo. This is Randy and Drew, and they adopted little Jack when he was still in the womb of a crack addict in Edmonton, and they're one of the happiest families I've ever known.
In Oregon, we managed to swap our 3 motorized wheels for 3 sail-powered wheels, and just hung out in a hot tub with cold beers and had a barbecue and beautiful, beautiful desert. And basically the next day, the rear spline of the motorbike shattered, which left us up Shit Creek with a sail. Less useful.
So no relationship exploration would be complete without the fundamentalist Mormons in Utah. This man has 4 wives and 40 children. We met one guy with 5 wives, 200 grandchildren. They don't believe in courtship. They meet and marry and then court once they're married, which would explain why I got proposed to twice.
Driving the Ural's not like driving a 2-wheel motorbike. I came off the road a number of occasions. The first was when Alanna decided to get out and film me going down these switchbacks, so she wasn't a counterweight in the sidecar, which meant that I lost balance and went off the road. This time was when this time was when Alanna was telling me about how she wanted to have a baby, and I lost concentration.
Here we went to interview a couple on a Hopi Indian reservation, and we just happened, by total chance, to be there while the Butterfly Festival was happening. It's never been filmed before. In fact, we encountered quite a lot of hostility for filming it. But 200 people went through the centre of the reservation, which has no roads, all calling the gods.
My turn. It's quite hard, this 2-way thing. So, yeah, crossing into Mexico, all the Americans were saying, whatever you do, don't go into Mexico. They'll kill you and rob you, and it's really dangerous. In fact, one guy recommended that we take a boat all the way around it. When we got into Mexico, of course, it was lovely, but then the Mexicans warned us about the Guatemalans, who warned us about the Hondurans, who warned us about everyone all the way further down the line. So,
Here we have a Mexican luchador. You couldn't go to Mexico without talking to one of their wrestlers about love. Now, one of the facets of this sport, which is a national obsession, is that you can't reveal your identity. So we grilled him about the nature of fame, effectively, going from total adoration to total anonymity.
So just to say that during the 20,000 miles of riding, our relationship suffered a little bit. Here in Central America, we had a huge amount of rain. It's quite hard to represent that, the still image, but Alanna's sidecar ended up like a bathtub on a number of occasions, and she got a little bit upset with me. So we ended up flying the bike over to Panama, and it made things a lot easier.
Sigfredo Lopez, an extraordinary human being who was kidnapped by the FARC in Colombia for 7 years. He was moved. Every 2 days, they set up camp. They had to set up a new camp. He was kidnapped with 11 of his colleagues, all of whom were shot. He's the only survivor, and he came back, and he and his wife, Patricia, are now rebuilding their marriage after 22 years.
The city of La Paz, some of you will recognise, really bad for motorcycles, really high altitude, really steep hills, bad traffic, and a really heavy sidecar, which is not Alanna's fault entirely. Basically, I fried the clutch here, and I had to wait for a month for the new part to arrive, despite a plea on national television. So the final slide here is just after a long road and towards the end of the South American continent. We didn't think we were going to be able to sell our bike because of this law in Argentina where foreign vehicles can't be sold to locals. We met this cyclist called Dean who decided to swap his pedals for pistons, and the bike is now driving back up to Alaska as we speak.
This is us standing in front of a ship's captain, legally allowed to renew our vows for us. Mike had also agreed for an Argentinian divorce lawyer to be there with the papers, because he thought it would be neat if we were divorced just in Argentina. But he read out the results, which I'm not going to tell you now. However, the biggest test was being on the bike, so we're back now.